Hello, everybody. Yeah, I think both the devices were fairly charged, so that's good. Okay. So dog's being very good, so that's also good. I just want this underneath this. Okay. So good morning, good day. Kind of want to wait till there's somebody viewing. I just had a bit of a chatty morning with the person I live with, the person in the house, and um, um, have a bit of a busy day, but the first two things once we get there are really just seeing a performance, and then there's a gap where I can rest a bit. Um, I can tell our dog's going to be a bit distracting, though, unfortunately. He knows that when I podcast, I'm on the phone. If he makes enough noise, he'll get a treat. Technically, I do feel bad that we kind of have to, you know, he likes it. I mean, he spent all night with the open crate door because it's like his little cave thing in the bedroom. And he, you know, can't come out of it if he wants to, but if he's left at home alone, um, which isn't often, there's always at least one of us home. Kind of gets into he's kind of still a puppy stage, right? So, but yeah, he spent all night there, and then after we kind of got up and got moving, within like 15-20 minutes, he's back in there. Couldn't figure it out. Anywho, so some people say autistic people on the spectrum are ramblers. They're very verbal about, I mean, most people express the thoughts that are in their head out loud to themselves or to somebody. So it's not that unusual. Um, but anyway, I do have a couple little things I have to do before I leave. Other than that, I kind of want to take it slow, but yeah, I mean, so I'm just going to talk about some things that I've noticed being on the spectrum and of others a little bit that come to mind. And a little bit of a continuation from the short video from the other day. You know, I saw a performance and the guy was talking about his mental health journey a little bit. And I don't know if it's just because of experiences I've had with people, some people, and but I honestly, he might have shared it in his performance simply because it was part of his journey. Not because necessarily it was something that accurately that um, fit him. Uh, because yeah, I mean, I don't want to come across the wrong way either. I'm going to be right back though because I'm just wanting to bring my socks over here, thinking I might want to put them on, and possibly this, and I'll be right back. And you finish that, so now you better be good. Oh, and I also keep on it would, the radio reminded me of this thing that I wanted to do or have with me. So I kept a part of it because it's a two-part thing on the radio because I thought that was kind of funny that it reminded me or interesting that it reminded me. But I think I'm going to bring it with me today. So I got this. And you can lay down now for a little while, please. Don't disturb me. I disturbed that. Just kidding. I'm just going to put this here for now. So if I do decide to put my socks on, I can hopefully look a bit more graceful doing it. Or, I don't know, a little less distracting doing it. So, I don't want to tire myself out, but like I say, even though I'll be processing the performances I'll be seeing, you know, I'll be able to relax, So I woke up. I felt like I had a hangover. Hungover. I had a very small amount of beer. I don't drink often, but I had a very small amount of beer at a place that there's two places and there's a bar on one side of it. And I think it's probably owned by the same property management team, to be quite honest. But the manager of the one place, she's always looks like a snob. And I mean, if she happens to see this, I mean, maybe take this as, criticism and um, not criticism, something to work on. I mean, we have the faces we have. I understand that, and I can't remember the one time we had a bad experience there, but I was with people, and even though I and the other local were trying to say, yeah, and we don't really have that much time, and then we're just going to get a muffin, and then it was so rushed that she just ended up getting one got I think it was a half of a sandwich, either that or she, because it was rushed, just scarfed it down a lot, and the other one had the other one's garlic bread that went with her soup. I mean, because we didn't have a lot of time. I thought there was a little bit of a bakery there too. I thought they were just going to get a muffin or something and leave. Um, and so our server was good. I had never seen her there before, but I've only been there about 4 or 5 times. Anyway, this is not what this video is about, and I do and don't have a lot of time. But no, I'm just thinking. I don't know. I mean, maybe she was on special. We don't want to say she would be on a business like that if it was. I don't know. It's just that so she came and she said no outside drinks. Like we got as far as the patio, nobody said anything, and we honestly weren't trying to even be sketchy. It's just, and I was having a good time. I didn't really need to drink, but to celebrate the occasion of getting to see a friend in person who is not who lives out of town, and she said I'll share some of mine with you. I said I'm more of a one, but even then, it's like I'd rather have it for free just in case they didn't like it. But you couldn't beat $8, probably for a glass. But anyway, but that was so yeah. So I had a little bit. I really most people probably could have just, but I wanted to drink it slowly, and I didn't have the time to. And I thought it was just I don't know. I think she did chug it though, hers, and then the other one had a soda, I believe, because she's a bit younger and she's not sure what she thinks about alcohol. And said, "Why not go for a soda? Nobody hurts." Anywho, and the other one got a drink there. So, but yeah, but that was early in the day. It was a pretty hectic day. I did have a bit of time for myself in between, which was good. But anyway, on to the topic. On to the topic. Um, Now, in a way, this would be kind of storytelling too, but it's interesting when we think of, if we were to think of people that we know that have maybe not told us or don't know that they are on the spectrum. I don't want to use being on the spectrum as an excuse, but being on the spectrum does mean certain things. But this is the thing; it means different things to everybody. So I guess one thing I wanted to do was to address the stigma. I guess that's kind of one thing, on the mental health, and which I prefer to call mind wellness. I think sounds better, and I can't believe it hasn't been changed over the years. And I often call it mental health, but mental health and autism spectrum. Whether you are relate, most people relate to it in one way or another. And but I really think Jordan really didn't work in that industry for very long. I don't know. It was easy and convenient. He should have thought I should send something else. Personally, I don't like how I did that, but he was very busy at the time. Anywho, but It's ironic this really is this year. But anywho, there was somebody else that I was thinking. Well, one of the people I was with the other day said she couldn't tell. I won't say who, but she said she couldn't tell when she was being pressured or peer pressure. She actually said, she's like, "Oh, was that what was happening?" I don't think I struggle with that. I'm also, yeah, I mean, he did notice that the woman maybe a bit drunk, but and I guess maybe he was just worried that the one that fell was she okay, but she fell because she was drunk. But there was something else I thought of this morning before I started. And I can't think of what it is at the moment, unfortunately, because this is not scripted. I had a bit of idea in my head, but I haven't been up super long. Um, but we can certainly talk in the comments too about the topic at hand. Um, I did say spirited, so that's kind of my version of it. Yeah, yeah. Um, like two of my friends are going to a show today. The description didn't sell me, and come to think of it, and I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. The one guy that's in it um, is on the spectrum, and I remember I had some brief contact with him. I don't even know if anything ever really went sour. It just kind of flat flatlined, for lack of a different way of saying it, and just kind of eventually didn't go anywhere. And I think there was a couple of times when the message was seen but ignored, and that's a bit of a pet peeve for me when it happens. So, um, but when I was telling my other friend, I said I felt like he had a dry sense of humor. Um, Mine's very wet, So, so yeah, there's that. Um, so use my stamp, and then there's that. And I've mentioned it a couple times about that. So, but yeah, so I wish there was. I mean, I can't roll for super long this morning. A little bit longer than yesterday, but the other day. But I wish there was people here sparking dialogue. There's nobody watching while it's live at the moment because, and it varies. It really varies. But because it's like my dream. I don't want to talk too much about dreams and stuff. So not nightmares, but I used to, and I sometimes used to journal them too. But I used to recall them so well. Lately, if I'm up for, I mean, right now I kind of have a good excuse because there's a lot more on my mind, kind of in general, but also just because of a festival that's happening here. But kind of in general, I don't know what I often think about, but I'll wake up and if I'm up for more than 5 or 10 minutes, even if I don't want to get out of bed, my brain is rolling with thoughts, and then I've lost the dream. Or even, and every now and then I'll try and breathe myself back into relaxation, you know, and yeah, I usually still cannot recall the dream. But this isn't really about dreams. I'm just saying it's the same thing with my thoughts right now. And the person left it like, oh yeah, I had a dream. They were here for like 5 seconds, and maybe possibly like, oh yeah, I had a dream actually, and I wanted to look at it, which I'm open to doing, but like not nightmares. But anywho, but I'm just saying it because, like I say, it makes me think of. I had a couple thoughts. I mean, I did kind of. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say is that, and I think that this is potentially quite powerful. Um, Basically, um, as far as like, I'm going to use the example of depression. Okay, we can talk more about autism later. I do and don't think we're all like at the end of the day, honestly and truly, regardless of what kind of mental health issue we or a loved one has, and I guess you could call autism that, we're all human, right? So, but, and someone's like, that's right, yeah, wow. Just kidding. The bots can stay away, spammers. But anywho, and sometimes they say that, but they don't know. But trolls. But with mental health, like I'm speaking a bit from my own experience, but I also think probably the experience of a lot of people. Using depression as an example quickly here. Um, and there was somebody there for like 3 or 4 minutes. I thought they might stick around longer. Maybe they intend to come back later. Who knows? They'll come back and I won't still be rolling because I won't have time. But anyway, I even she did a couple things in her career that I thought were missteps, but I otherwise always loved her approach, her as a person, and I vividly remember, perhaps because I was validated with the thought. um, I vividly remember that when we were talking about, and hopefully I won't experience it again anytime soon. But after July, I'm a little bit worried. But we'll see. We'll see. We are talking about situational depression and how it is absolutely a thing. I don't know if I really have all that much to say about the genetic components of mental illness, mental health issues. It's almost not a mental wellness issues. Still saying the word issues. There's not a all that gentle way of saying it, I suppose. But genetic factors, even if it's not necessarily DNA, but your upbringing, okay, are a thing. But like, I don't know if I could even think of in the moment examples to use from my own life, and that's fine. But I'm thinking of this guy whose performance I saw the other day, and I'm thinking of um, well, that's it. I believe temporary diagnosis psychosis. I know the one I'm remembering that he said. There was another one. I just don't remember it. Point of the matter being, what caused it? Although it sounds like he had two supportive parents, but they were very much like, and I can't remember. Well, I know my friend said something about it was great to see, and she didn't know the guy, but she's just like this. She said it was really nice to see you shining up there and sharing your story, essentially. Um, I mean, we've talked about this kind of thing before, her and I. Um, I know she said it at some point, but it's kind of like, mainstream society. I should send this one to Sweat. I know she can't make the decision. It might only be kids and they might not be hiring still. And also to maybe Daniel, so yeah. But they do value lived experience. So, I mean, I wish I could do it. But then, I don't know. Today, I'm actually going to be seeing something from somebody who works at an local agency that I've had involvement with. And I'd be curious to see her perspective and how she shines light on her job because I feel like it largely inspired it. But basically, so he didn't get into. I don't want to give it away too much, but I'm not going to say what show I'm talking about. And most of you aren't local. I mean, it does get a lot of travelers, but most of you probably won't see it anyway. So basically, he couldn't get into the school that he. No, I don't even know if he wanted to get into music school. Um, I like I say, only saw it once. Was going at the rapid speed. So that's the thing, where there is maybe a trigger. It is pretty. The scene, the thing unfolds quicker enough than you have time to sit with it. But so I said that to a friend. I don't know if it should have been mentioned as one of the kind of heads up that this is. It said there was coarse language in it. I don't think I heard any. She didn't say she didn't, but I'm pretty sure I didn't hear any, or it didn't phase me. But anyway, point of the matter being is that what I think was the case is, and I think that was after he tried to go to study abroad once. What was the case is he was holding something back from sharing with his parents, and he was of a religious upbringing, you may guess. Um, and for whatever other reason, maybe he felt like he wanted to escape. And he also maybe felt like I am really called to playing this instrument, and I am only going to get somewhere if I have a bachelor's or whatever in music. And society very much still runs this way, but I think it's changing. I suppose not yet because it's not too hard out there yet, and I thought he'd want to be. But anyway, I guess maybe he thought he'd be distracted. He wants to get a session. Anywho, but and so basically, I'm just, and it's okay. You're just tuning in now. That's fine. I can't roll for super much longer, but glad to have you here. Haven't been rolling for super long, but somebody just tuned in, so welcome. I'm describing a performance I saw the other day, and you left. So I take it all back. I should wait until the person comments before I say anything, but I like to be welcoming. Anywho, but that happens sometimes. Anywho, may or may not have been personal. Anywho. But basically, he so maybe he thought, okay, well, this is going to help me get where I want to get, and he mentioned having a room. I don't think it was a roommate. I thought he'd said it was someone who lived across, who was staying across from him. So and he said at one point that he secluded to his dorm. So I've never heard of it. This was, I guess, in the States. Yeah, somewhere in the States. Where was it? He was from Montana. I think it was Chicago. Maybe. Anywho, point of the matter being is that, but he obviously had fellow students and blah, 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 blah. I do and don't think that drugs and alcohol should be part of the college or university experience. I've never, I mean, I've done a little, I think we all have, as we get to a certain age, but we got to, some of us got to be very careful because if we have any sort of addictive personality or, we're just more sensitive to those kind of things, it can be pretty bad. So it's a disclaimer on that. But basically, yeah, he essentially, it sounds like he got in with people that were doing certain things, and but it could have been other reasons too that affected him not being able to complete his studies. So he went back home, and this is where it's a bit fuzzy because I've only seen it once, but an interesting thing happened where we probably get to see it again. Talking about a show in a festival, and it had a mental health aspect to it, and basically, and I kind of worded it that way because somebody tuned in. I guess it was nonchalant, but hey, anything else to say about it? Like I say, it's fuzzy because he did event. Oh, what I think happened was in between going back, he, and it was actually with somebody who's music too. I think because she can't have them right now. She's unable to teach, and I probably could. Not having them is doing not good for me. But anywho, or not having to in general, so yeah. But anyway, this is another topic as far as like music. But anyway, um, his brother had said, I'm just realizing that stick looks like it's coming out of my head, and there's no way really around that unless I put it here. Yeah, I just noticed that. Sorry if that was distracting before. It's just like a decorative. I know that sounds funny. A decorative stick. I don't know. I don't know. The other person in the house maybe has some symbolic reason why it's there. I don't. And I don't often notice it, which is weird. Anywho, um, so I went to live with his brother, and his brother was in a rock band, and I really wish he'd done some rock cello, and I'd like to look some up actually. And basically, one thing that he said was like, he wanted to know what key is it in, and what's this, and person composed it themselves, but was self-taught and didn't read music or something like that. One of those, right? No offense to any of them, but see this. But anyway, it was just part of his learning experience. And then I guess he just also decided, from what I gather, to focus more on his studies and seclude himself. He was also had other distractions when he was there, of course, the first time around. And I may not be describing things very well, but he says he was 12 years clean and sober, um, and which should have got a bigger applause, but he'll get it. He'll get it with his other shows, and it did get one. It wasn't. I don't think it was a packed house, um, but now it's the weekend. Yeah, but part of me wonders if he truly would have went through all of those things, if he had just been able to be himself and open with more people and getting opportunities to do music. If he would have went through all those other things. I guess sometimes there's a reason for them, but we can do better. A lot of us, I think, can do better at seeing people and either quickly sensing or fairly quickly sensing their abilities, their strengths, even maybe their weaknesses. And one thing I would say is, and it's weird, I have a friend who's really good at all those things. I would say that I don't know if I've noticed that she uh I don't know if she's ever, I think she has a bit of an idea. I don't know if she's ever said, what are your needs? What do you need in life right now? But I do think she senses some of them. And you may be able to help somebody. You may have, in some way or another, an ability to be able to do that. And if you don't, you may be able to help them find ways. And it can get people out of some very stuck and dark feeling places, depressed feeling places in their being. So, what a gift to be able to do that if you can. I hope I can do it more, and I hope we all can. Because our wellness can only improve if so. It may take time, it may be gradual, even once you start the process. I'm not going to say, you know, labels are okay. I don't think anybody should see, I mean, people are going to do what they do, but should see labels as a bad thing. You could say, okay, this is an aspect of me and I accept it and I'm going to work with it to the best of my ability. And if it's not something that needs to be worked on, like it's not a diagnosis, it's just a character trait, for lack of a different way of putting it, then embrace that too. And and you know, always be there for yourself and hope that others will also be there for you. But always be there for yourself because you matter. I know one thing that was briefly mentioned in that show, I don't have a lot of time, but was so far. I'm not saying this in judgment. And I know that life can be hard, but care about yourself more than that. And yeah, I mean, you may still, or your loved one may still have those diagnoses, even if they're having positive things start to happen again for them in their life. But it would only be worse if they weren't happening. As far as the autism thing, and I guess I did send that 15 minutes before my friend's coming to pick us up and she has to drive here. But as far as the autism thing goes, um, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Like, I do believe that any of us on the spectrum, and a lot of people are and don't know it as well, are all different. I'm surprised I've been rolling for 30 minutes, but it does kind of feel like it. But are all different, and like, I think possibly because I'm very aware of myself and I'm interested in human behavior for the most part, I think that I'm pretty good at, and I have ADHD. So it's like I can focus here, focus there, focus here, pick up a little bit here. I can't believe what's her face that she had such good hearing in such a noisy spot. And she actually stated, it can be helpful to like overhear something sometimes, either inspiring or helpful, because then somebody might say, you know about this? Well, I heard somebody